Hello, 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 and welcome to the Good Vibes Lifestyle. I'm your host, Leslie Klein. And today is a very special day because uh, we are in between the eclipses. So, what if the most powerful part of the eclipse season isn't just the eclipse itself, but what happens to the space in between? Today, we're exploring how to work with this energy consciously instead of simply waiting for the next shift. So, today we're in the space between eclipses, and let's get into the astrology. Of course, it just started to rain, so I don't know if you can hear that, but it is downpouring. But we will continue. So, as far as the astrology is concerned, the sun is still in the sign of Leo, but in a few days, on August 23rd, it's going to go into the sign of Virgo. So we're going to switch from Leo, which is the energy of shining and expansiveness and self-expression, creativity, to Virgo, which is more about practicality, being practical, putting things into action. The Leo is a fire sign, and Virgo is a earth sign. So we're moving from energy and action, inspiration to practicality, manifestation kind of thing. So that's what's happening as far as the sun's concerned. And then let's talk about the moon. We are in the waxing phase of the moon because we had the new moon and solar eclipse that was on August 12th. And we are headed towards the full moon and also a partial lunar eclipse on August 28th. So these are the two eclipses that were in between. So basically, on August 12th, the seed was planted. Then from the 13th to the 27th, which is the period that we're in right now, we're in the space in between the eclipses. August 28th, that is when something becomes illuminated. And then after that, after the eclipse, we begin integrating what we've learned. So this is what's been happening. And the question you can ask yourself is this: what has changed in your life since the August 12th eclipse that you didn't consciously plan? So that'll give you an idea as to how these eclipses are impacting you in your life. The old isn't necessarily gone, and the new isn't necessarily here. You're standing in the space where the old reality is losing its grip, and the new reality is still taking shape. So that's why we might be in a little period of confusion or really transition. So not every energetic shift requires immediate action. There's an interesting parallel now between what we're talking about with the eclipse season and about disclosure. In both cases, we're dealing with information that challenges our existing picture of reality. So let's take that off there. And let's kind of move into the UFO UAP disclosure part of the show. Let's look at the latest in terms of UAP disclosure. So I'm taking this information mostly from Danny Sheehan's Full Disclosure podcast that comes out every Thursday, earlier, usually on Thursday. And in here, he's talking about an interview that George Knapp did with Robert Bigelow. And if you don't know who Robert Bigelow is, he's a billionaire American businessman who is very interested and has funded things like Skinwalker Ranch and other type of UFO research. And so he's very much into that. And so according to Danny Sheehan's account of these interviews, he says that Bigelow spent about 75 minutes with President Trump in the Oval Office, and this was back in February. And he was asking President Trump to publicly confirm that NHI, non-human intelligence, exists. And So this is something that happened back in February, and I remember seeing on social media there was a reporter in the UK that kind of broke the story, but then he kind of got in trouble. He was saying that by July 8th or so, the president would do this announcement, and it never happened. So he kind of had egg on his face, and I think he got this information from Robert Bigelow. So it's, Bigelow gave the information or encouraged Trump to make this announcement, but Trump hasn't done it. And, this is what's coming out right now. The other claim that Bigelow made, and let's see, we have a comment. Oh, okay, great. Galactic Family Podcast. Hello, everyone. Hello to you. Thank you for watching. I'm a little bit later today than I usually am, but I'm here. It just took me a little longer to get the show together today. That was, let me take that off. So that was what happened. What one of the first things, there were like 5 points I'm going to go through from this full disclosure podcast. And I'm going to let you, I'm going to encourage you to listen to the whole podcast because there's a lot of great information there. I can't cover everything, but I'm going to give you the highlights. So Bigelow's claims about the legacy program. He claims that a small amount of a group of government and aerospace insiders, are referred to as the gatekeepers, have maintained access to UAP-related information and other materials outside of normal congressional oversight. He claims that they possess recovered craft, that they possess biological material, and they've also conducted DNA testing. He also says that they've communicated with the living non-human beings and maintained relationships with those beings that they've encountered. That's a big claim there about the legacy program, but we've heard this before. Bigelow also said that the U.S. presidents, have not been in this loop of communication. He said that the U.S. presidents and other elected officials have historically been excluded from certain UAP information because the people controlling this information view elected officials as temporary politicians. So it's the career government officials and people in aerospace that are part of this legacy program. Another point that Bigelow made was that some career military and intelligence officials have been controlled, and that, of course, the presidents have mostly been excluded, but he said that Eisenhower, Bush, and there was one other president that were kind of tuned into some of the information, but not all of it. The other point that he made was that Congress has been excluded. And, Congress, we're a three-part government system, right? We have the Congress, we have the executive office, and we have the judiciary, the courts. And they're all equal branches, right? And all with the checks and balances, even though it doesn't appear that they've been working. But I think the courts right now are kind of trying to get things back in order. But in this situation, Congress has been excluded from this conversation. And that's why the UAP task force that's headed by Representative Luna, also Eric Burleson, and the other task force members have been on this and have been trying to get this information, but they've been blocked. Bigelow also says that even senior executive officials have allegedly been excluded. So this is the big question. If the people elected by the public aren't ultimately in control of the information, then who is? So that's really important. And that's the big question. And that's why Citizens for Disclosure is around, to find out to take back our power and say, Congress, you represent us. What is going on with this? We deserve to know. We deserve to know all of this information. It's incredible that it's been, kept secret for at least 80 years. Now, disclosure legislation is still moving. Things are still happening. And what Danny was saying was that on September 7th, the House comes back and there's this Burleson amendment that is being put in the National Defense Authorization Act. It's going to be voted on in the Senate, and that's why our efforts to call the senators is very important right now. And I think it's on September 15th that they actually do the vote. Then later in October, there's another deadline there that he mentioned. So the other aspect of this conversation that Robert Bigelow had with George Knapp, it was about consciousness. He brings up how humans might communicate with non-human intelligence, whether different species have different levels of consciousness. He also talked about whether humans could establish meaningful communication with the ETs, rather. Also, whether we need assistance from another non-human civilization. And lastly, what if consciousness is the common language for the ETs and between between different ET civilizations and us, right? So that was a lot of the some of the highlights, and I urge you to check out this today, the last episode that just released, by going to the YouTube at New Paradigm Institute. This is where you can find all these full disclosure podcasts and more. So please sign up for that. And regarding Citizens for Disclosure, the way you can get involved with Citizens for Disclosure, which is part of the New Paradigm Institute. Citizens for Disclosure is the grassroots arm of the New Paradigm Institute. And so if you go to newparadigminstitute.com, you'll be able to take action where there's a form that you fill out, figures out who your senators are, has a pre-written letter, and you just send it. It's so easy. It takes you less than 2 minutes to do. So go to this website, take that action specifically for getting our senators specifically to pass and the Berthelsen Act, to put the Berthelsen Act in the National Defense Authorization Act. Very important, and this is the big push right now. And so go to the New Paradigm Institute and check it out. So this is why contacting the senators matters, because disclosure is not only about what gets released by administration, it's also about whether Congress creates a permanent legal framework that survives administrations. So we have to get this under our control as the people. Now, the other thing that's coming up next week on Wednesday, this would be August 26th at 8:00 p.m. is the next disclosure dialogues that I will be hosting. And this time we're going to have four different experiencers, UAP experiencers, people who have had experiences with ETs from different levels. I actually featured some of them on the World UFO Day I did back in July, and you can go to the good-vibes.tv link tree, and that'll take you right to all of the disclosure dialogues we've done. And just check it out. And so you'll see that on my channel. And if you subscribe and all, you'll get notifications. So that's really important. If you want to see last month's disclosure dialogue, just go to thistinyurl.com/disclosure dialogue 9. So that's what's happening with the disclosure dialogue. So just put that on your schedule for next week. And, we also have the Galactic Good Vibes and other things that are on the Good-Vibes TV show. So check it out. And let's see. So really now is a great time to get into our meditation. And let me switch things around here. So this is a great meditation that's specific to the in-between space that we're in as far as the eclipses, because the next eclipse, I guess I just said, was on the 28th, which is next Friday. So we'll do a show next Thursday about the, full total solar eclipse and and full moon that's happening at that time. So let's get into our meditation mode. And it's so important because, we were just talking about consciousness and how important that is as far as communicating with the ETs, with our star family, with our galactic citizens that are part of the cosmos. And let me get our music started here. So consciousness, the way you tap into consciousness is through things like meditation. You have to get quiet inside. You have to be able to make that connection. So meditation is a great way to do this. And if you're able to do this right now, great. If you're not able to, if you're driving or operating heavy equipment, do not do this meditation. Come back to this tape and do it at that time. So let's get into it. So I want you to close your eyes and take a deep, slow, comfortable breath in through your nose. And gently exhale through your mouth. Again, breathe in, allowing your body to soften. And exhale, letting go of anything that you don't need to carry into this moment. Today, we're going to spend a few minutes in the space between what was and what is becoming, and the answer, between letting go and receiving something new. We are currently between these two eclipses. The August 12th solar eclipse has passed, but the August 28th lunar eclipse is still ahead. Astrologically, this period is often viewed as a time to pause, to observe, and to allow things to unfold rather than forcing clarity before it is ready. So for these next few minutes, you don't need to figure out anything. You don't need to know what's coming. Just simply be here. Feel your body supported beneath you. Feel your feet connected to the earth. Now notice your breath moving naturally in and out. Now bring your attention to your heart. Imagine a gentle, warm light in the center of your chest. With each breath, allow that light to become a little brighter. And as you breathe in, silently say, I am open to what is being revealed. And as you breathe out, I release the need to know everything right now. Again, breathe in, I am open to what is being revealed. And breathe out, I release the need to know everything right now. Now imagine yourself standing at the threshold of a doorway. Behind you is everything you've already experienced. Old patterns, old expectations, old stories about who you were and how your life is supposed to unfold. You don't need to push any of it away. Simply acknowledge it. And if there is something you are ready to release, imagine gently placing it down. You don't have to carry it forward. On the other side is something you cannot clearly see yet, and that's okay. You don't have to rush through the doorway. You can simply stand at the threshold, breathe, listen, and notice. Allow yourself to be curious about what is becoming possible. Now ask yourself quietly, what keeps calling for my attention? Don't search for an answer. Just notice what comes. It could be a thought, a feeling, an image, a person, an idea, or perhaps something or nothing at all. Whatever arises, simply let it be. Now ask, what am I ready to stop carrying, and breathe? Then ask, what energy do I want to bring into what comes next? Perhaps it's trust. Perhaps it's courage. Perhaps it's love. Perhaps it's curiosity. Perhaps it's peace. Whatever word comes to you, breathe that quality into your heart. And now repeat silently. I am safe in the unknown. I trust myself to recognize what is true for me. I can be open without abandoning discernment. I allow what is becoming to reveal itself in its own time. Take one more slow, deep breath, and as you exhale, imagine releasing the need to control the outcome. You don't have to force the next chapter. You only have to be present for the one you're in. Take another breath. Feel your body. Feel the ground beneath you. Feel your heart. And carry this with you. I am willing to let the next chapter reveal itself in its own time. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. So how was that for you? Hopefully you got some information during just tuning in. This is a practice and a skill, really, meditation, going within, tuning in. That's really important, to bring peace within. And to create peace outside, we have to create peace within ourselves. So it's important to have that connection to our spirit inside and know what's really happening. So welcome back. And now that we've quieted the mind and opened the heart, let's see what message Spirit has for us as we get into our oracle message. And this is, I'm reversed. Oh, let me see if I can, oops, oh, wrong one. There we go. My camera was mirrored. So I'm going to use the Trust Your Vibes Oracle cards by Sonia Choquette. And we're going to ask the question from Spirit, what do we need to know? And this is for whoever's watching right now live, during the replay, or whenever you do watch this. What do we need to know right now as we are in this in-between place, between the two eclipses? What do we need to know for our highest and best good? This is interesting. So the card is called Assess, card number 45. So let me look that up for us. Oh, and Botanica Brother 888 says, thank you for watching. All right, so let's, we got Assess for the card to know What do we need to know for these next, during this in between period? It's time to take an honest look at your life and consider whether you've made the right choices. If your life is unfolding well, breathe deep and carry on. You may only need to make a few minor adjustments here and there to ensure you stay on course and continue making progress. If, on the other hand, you find that you are far from where you want to be in life, it's time to assess what you're doing and admit where you're falling short. If you didn't drift off track overnight, you didn't drift off track overnight. If you're dissatisfied with where you are, acknowledge that your mistakes. This is not to shame or embarrass you, but rather to help correct your course and get you back into alignment with your higher self and a meaningful life. If you are confident that you are on the right path, keep going. You may be entering a demanding period, but you are ready. If you are struggling, however, understand why. If you are honest, you'll know what's holding you back. If you're stuck, you're clearly in need of a significant change. Be willing to seek the support of a mentor, teacher, counselor, or guide. Admit your errors and limitations and ask for help. Oops. So assess. And that makes sense in this in-between period to take that. And actually, I've got a great tip of the week that will help you do that. So that's very cool that that worked out. And if you like this Oracle deck that I've been using these last few weeks, you can go to good-vibes.tv and purchase it from my Amazon store. So let's get into the tip of the week to raise your vibration. This is, I love the tips of the week because, it's been challenging coming up with a new and different tip of the week to raise your vibration. So it's been really good. Good exercise for me to find these. So last week's tip of the week was to do one thing that makes your authentic self more visible. And this is where I said, say what you actually think, start the project you've been postponing, wear something that makes you feel like yourself, share your story, make the phone call, create something. Also, tell somebody you appreciate them, set a boundary. Take the next step towards something you've been afraid to pursue. So this was all about the Leo energy, which we're still in. The sun is in Leo, not until it doesn't go into Virgo until the 23rd on Sunday. So the universe doesn't need another version that you're trying to fit in. It needs the version of you that came here to shine, your unique self. This is, we're all here to find our unique gifts and to share those gifts, right? Okay, so let's get into this tip of the week. This tip of the week is to keep an eclipse journal. And so this is really cool. For the next 8 days, don't try to predict what is happening, but you want to keep 4 columns and answer these journal prompts. What am I noticing? This is something you'll do every day. You'll ask the question, what am I noticing? What is actually catching my attention, right, during this time? The next column or prompt that you want to answer is, what am I feeling? What emotions or sensations are coming up? The third column the third prompt is, what am I learning? What is this experience showing me? And then the fourth prompt is, what energy am I choosing? How do I want to meet what comes next? What energy am I choosing? So raising your vibration doesn't mean pretending that you're happy or when you're not. It means becoming conscious of what you're experiencing, so you can choose how you want to respond. That is where your power is, how we respond to situations. Because whatever our end result that we want to achieve, we have to match that frequency. So if that frequency has to do with prosperity or love or any of these things, we have to be in that energy or be in that frequency vibration, not in the opposite vibration, like, hate or frustration or, just bad feelings. So we have to raise our vibration to match what it is that we want. But first, we got to notice, where are we at with that? So so this is what this tip is all about. Again, what am I noticing? What am I feeling? What am I learning? And then what energy am I choosing? How do I meet what comes next? So, my friends, thank you for watching today. Raising your vibration is something. It's a technique to use. First, you want to know, where am I vibing at? Because then that tells you what frequency you're putting out. And if it's not something that you want, then you got to change your frequency so that you'll attract, like things, because that's how it works. All right. And so I have a Botanica brother asking me to do a reading. And I'm not really set up to do that Botanica brother, but I'd be happy to do one for you. So let me do this. Let's just put, and I'll just do this for everybody. I'm going to put my email, and or I guess I'll leave this out for everyone. I can pull some cards for you guys. I'm happy to do that. So I'm going to put my email here, and that is leslie@good-vibes.tv. And so put the information there. If you want me to pull some cards for you specifically, I'll do that and send you a little video or something like that about that. Something new, but you're asking me, so why not? I'm happy to do that. I love pulling cards and getting that connection and information for people. So my friends, thank you so much. And good. I'll look for it, Botanica Brother. So if you liked the show, if you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and share. Let other people know about it, so hopefully they can get some good information to raise their vibration so they can thrive. Well, thank you so much for everyone for watching. Keep raising your vibration. Trust what you've been guided toward. And remember, the energy you bring into the world matters. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and keep shining your light. Peace out, everyone.